Oh,
Topic. Come on,
thank
Shadow.
you.
I got the quarantine face.
No, you look good. I knew who I was about to be in conversation with. I said, listen, I got to get the glow together because your glow is always together.
Our glow, our glow.
Our glow. You're right. You're right.
We reflect each other. That's the mood we in.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for making time and for being here.
Oh, it's all love. You know, you are renowned and respected. You're a sister. Moonchild is my family. Amber is my sister. So
are you.
This is
so
easy.
are you. Yes. So before we start, I'm going to do a quick intro. My name is Sofiya Ballin. I'm a writer, journalist, and producer, and I'm super excited to be in conversation with the master lyricist, Grammy-nominated rapper, Rapsody.
Likewise. Oh, so you pronounce your last name Ballin.
Ballin, yes.
Girl,
yes.
I was like, Sofiya Ballin.
Ballin! That's all people call me in high school. It's fine. That's like my second name at this point.
Ballin. Okay,
yes,
I got it now, though.
Yes. So we're going to have a conversation, and then right after, we're going to do a Q&A, so you guys can send in questions, and we'll answer it after our conversation. Okay. So first things first, I want to ask you, how are you? And, that's a question we ask a lot, and we always say, I'm good, I'm well. But with everything going on, I really want to know, how are you and how are you feeling? Mind, body, soul.
I'm maintaining. That's what I tell everybody. I'm maintaining, like we all are. You got your days where, it's all good. Like, I'm existing and what's going on. And some days it gets heavy. Some days it's like, I can't take this house anymore. A lot of days it's like everything that's happening in the world that's coming to the forefront that we've known forever is still a lot.
Yeah.
The pandemic is a lot. I suffer from anxiety too. So some days my anxiety is on 120.
Listen, you got to unplug sometimes just to calm down and decompress.
For sure. This week I've been watching a lot of movies just to, chill out. But yeah, so I'm maintaining, we doing the best we can. I take every day by day, but I'm grateful for, I try to find silver lining in everything. And I think the silver lining about, just having to be still through all of this is getting to know yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like especially with us, our worlds are always moving, all the traveling you do, you can't ever turn off. You know what I'm saying? Like you're always on, you always got your phone in your hand. So, taking this time to just really get to know yourself, have that quiet time, learn yourself again, evolve in different ways. That's the silver lining I found in all of this. So how are you doing?
Oh, thank you for asking. Girl, yeah, I take it day by day. Some days I'm like, okay, and some days it gets really, really hard, especially, last month was really difficult because we had the pandemic, and then we had the public display of global unrest and, George Floyd and Breonna. It was just a lot all at once. So definitely taking it day by day and trying to practice more self-care. And it's so interesting what you were saying about, getting to know yourself more. I feel like we keep saying, we're going to enter a new normal. And I think no one's going to come out of this the same, right? On an individual level. Yeah. There were a lot of changes we needed to make. And I think a lot of us as individuals have grown because we spent so much time with ourselves and kind of been reacquainted with our purpose and everything. So I've just been stretching. I'm not a yogi yet, but I've been doing all of that. And listening to music, dancing, doing anything that brings joy back into my life and makes me feel good. Yeah.
That's the important word. Through all of this, you can't forget to find the joy.
You can't.
It's so important to our mental and spiritual health. Like, you got to unplug and find your joy. If you butt naked in your place dancing, then be butt naked in your place dancing.
Shaking your ass. Yes. Guess what? I was dancing to Serena this morning from your Eve album.
Come on with it.
And I was like, no, stop. Listen. I loved it. Fire. Yeah. What are you doing? You mentioned movies, but what are you doing to take care of yourself during this time?
at this time right now, I've gotten back into being creative, and just pouring all of that into the music. But earlier in the year, I started the pandemic, ending a tour.
Yeah.
What was that? March and April. Like, I just spent a lot of time in the quiet, reading, doing lessons. There's a book, The Law of Divine Compensation, that is my favorite book right now. So just trying to be spiritually sound,
Yeah.
being okay with setting boundaries, and, like you say, self-care. Like, I really dived into that, getting closer to God, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I started the year, and I need to get back to more of that,
Yeah.
I'm trying to balance that with creative, so outside of watching movies, I'm working on a lot of projects right now.
Yeah.
Multiple projects of my own, two other artists that, I'm crazy big fans of. I'm working on stuff with them, and this really big project that I hope we finish it.
I'm
But
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of artists with this time are hunkering down and really taking time to really create a lot.
Yeah. And it's, I've talked to a lot of my artist friends in the industry, and one thing that's across the board for us that I find that, is the same is we're in and out of creativity. It's like some weeks I'll be on, and in some weeks we can't even find it. It's just like, yo, and it's so hard because you draw from everything that's going on, but at the same time, like, I create off life and experiences. So not being able to go out in the world and talk to people like you do, like, you got to find new ways to find inspiration now. So
and give yourself that grace. Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
Give yourself that grace. If you can't create today, it's okay. Tomorrow, do what feels good to you. Do what is true to you.
Yep, exactly. That's crazy. I was talking to from Earth Gang the other day, and we was just touching on that. It's like, yo, like, we work so hard for so long. This is 2020. I've been at this 10 years, at least 10 years. There's more to that iceberg, but I've never not been working, so when we take time to, like, oh, it's okay. I was like, bro, we feel lazy, like, yo, bum,
especially Black people.
Yes. So it's even breaking that mentality of, like, you have to do what works for you. Like, there's no science and no concrete way. Of course you grind, you put your 10,000 hours in, but we put our 10,000 hours in, so it's okay to sit back and find that inspiration to give to yourself.
And that rest is especially important for Black women and Black girls, because we do work extremely hard. When people say, oh, you have to work 10 times as hard to get just as much, it's not just a saying. Like, that's our actual life. It's our actual life.
That's the bar. It's funny. I'm on Twitter. I'm always searching on Twitter. I like to see what they talk about.
Every once in a while, you got to check in and then check out. And
I caught a conversation between a guy and a girl, and she was like, yo, the girls are really giving the guys a run for money this year, right? And he was like, yo, there's no competition. The girls got their lane, the guys got their lane. I had to check him. I was like, yo, out of respect, you got to understand where she's coming from, because this year you're seeing so many women exist in spaces that were held by a lot of men, so you got to allow us to have this, because we got to work hard to even get those spaces, like you say, 10 times harder. So we giving them a run for their money. Like, we
exactly. Don't put us in two different lanes and categories.
No, that's why I'm like, y'all gonna quit putting women in a box to play with ourselves only. Like, no, we across the board. Artists are artists. Like, that's what it is.
Big facts. Speaking of that, there was this a segment of an interview of you that went viral, where you talked about how you didn't like the label conscious rapper. And you said, you talked about Megan Thee Stallion and I think Young Thug, and you said, they're all conscious because they're conscious of their reality, right? Why was that important for you to make that distinction? Because I'm hearing you talk about, not putting women in a box, and I think so often that can happen, like when you're talking about Megan Thee Stallion, like that idea of not being conscious, or people like to say that she's not this, or kind of putting everyone on an equal playing field. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. when you put artists in boxes, oh, you're conscious, you're this, you're that. To me, that's no difference in separating us by complexion and celebrate Africa by tribe. At the end of the day, this is all one culture. And I was watching a Buckshot documentary years ago, and one thing that hit so heavy that he said, he was like, you know, he was touching on the same thing, like they like to make us backpack versus gangster and whoop-de-whoop. He was like, that's the separation, is we all have different styles, but it's all hip-hop, all different genre of hip-hop. And when you do that, you pit us against each other. You know, I see people like, oh, you make that hotep music, nobody want to hear that. Oh, you make that kind of, like, no, like, there's a space for all different styles of music. So it's important for me to tell people, like, you can't say that I'm conscious and somebody else isn't, or you know, I'm not this and somebody else isn't. For what? You know, you gravitate to the style that you like, but at the end of the day, it's important to allow people to be themselves and not downplay them for what they do. Like Cardi B, Megan, they have a space. Like Kaylee 47 has a space. Tierra Whack has a space. None of us are different. None of us. You know, and that's what it is, you know, what really is conscious. Like, you know, I understand what people mean by it, but at the same time, you have to understand everybody's story is valid. You know, she didn't grow up like I did. I didn't grow up like she did, but she has to tell her story. If that's her truth, allow her to tell her truth and walk in her
and it has value.
Right. The best thing that we can do is create balance for everybody to exist, you know, in the same playing field. And that's not about the artist, that's about the industry. You know, why doesn't the industry create balance? And that's I find out that's people's main problems, but you know, we don't articulate it in the best way, and we put it against the artists, pitting them against each other. It's not the artists. We all together on this. It's the industry, the music industry. Yeah, so we got to check the music business. We got to check the radio. Like, why can't there be a Megan Thee Stallion and Tierra Whack record both on the radio? Why can't they both exist? So, you know, that's my fight right there.
Yeah. I think it spoke to a lot of people, because most people, when asked a question like that, or talking about conscious rappers versus, I guess, their idea of conscious rappers, would fall into the trap of kind of saying, you know, well, I'm not like that, I have clothes on, or, you know, making certain comments and a judgment kind of zone. And you didn't do that. And I think that spoke to a lot of people, because you gave value to these other women's stories and lives and music.
Yeah, I definitely, you know, I have to be the change, and I have to speak up when even if it's my fans, when I see like that's not the real. I appreciate what you mean in your intent, but that ain't the approach. You know, that's not how we move forward in this. And it's crazy. Like, I see some of the wildest things. Like somebody wrote an OK Player article about me and called me a pick me artist. I'm sure you saw that. And I was just so taken aback by that. I'm just like, yo, I made this album for Black women, and you call me a pick-me artist, like, because I have confidence in the way I chose to show up in the culture. Like, I don't have to dim anybody else's light to celebrate myself. And I just thought that was so interesting that, you know, that's what they got out of it. But, you know, unity is always my fight, you know, and not being judgmental, because you don't know people's story. You know.
It's true. The way I've translated your work is kind of like, women should be free to express themselves in whatever way it feels true to them. And you're like, this is my way, and this is what feels true to me. And when you were like, you know, I'm still successful with keeping my clothes on, it wasn't an attack. It was more so like acknowledging what the industry values and saying that's what it was. It wasn't an attack on anyone else. It was just saying the industry doesn't value balance and the nuance of womanhood.
See, you got me. That's exactly what it is. And you know, it was to say to these young girls, like, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like them. Be yourself, however that comes. You know, if you want to walk around in pajamas, walk around in pajamas. If you want to walk around in a Chewbacca outfit, that's your thing. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? That was what it is about. Like, and me showing up how I want to show up, and saying that loud from the mountaintop. I hope that I inspire you to do the same, whatever it is for you. Like, you know, that's what it is, because the guys do it. They exist in it. Young Thug can rap with a dress. You know, J. Cole can rap in a t-shirt and jogging pants. You know, Kendrick can get fly. You know, everybody is allowed to exist and tell their stories. But when it comes to women, you know, it's got to be only this or only that, or, you know, is this fight. And I'm just like, I'm not upholding that false narrative. You know, Cardi's not upholding that, Megan's not. And I'm so excited to see like everybody supporting everybody within the art. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget what everybody else talking about around us. I feel like as artists, even though I don't know them all the same, I feel like I'm respected, and I have utmost respect for them and what they do. So
there is definitely this level of camaraderie and energy that I'm feeling from a lot of the women rappers that I'm seeing. And I love it. I love it. You guys supporting each other and putting each other on in that way.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, you said you feel a sense of responsibility as an artist. What is the responsibility that you feel?
For me, Knife Wonder, who's, you know, my mentor, he's always told me a quote: with great reward comes great responsibility. And, you know, me knowing that not only has God gifted me with a gift, but a platform to use my voice, I have to make sure that I'm doing, for me, what's right with it. And for me, it's not only, you know, telling my story, but speaking for the people that don't have the microphone, you know, to be a voice for the voiceless, and to tell truth. At the end of the day, we have to speak truth through us. You know, Lauren Hill always told me, seek knowledge. That's right. The most simple and best advice she ever gave me. As simple as that is, seek knowledge. You know, people take that for granted. So in me seeking knowledge and learning, it's up to me to pass that on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking to Buster, the same thing. He was like, you know, I'm not perfect, but, you know, I always try to make sure I do what's right. And whatever I learn, I try to pass it on. That's the best that we can do. That's what the people did before us. And that's what we have the opportunity to continue that, so that the next person after us is able to advance and evolve and continue to grow. So that's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
However you do it, you do it through the music. If, you know, if you're like Cardi and you do it on a political side, if you're passionate about that, if you're a painter and you paint the revolution on a side of a building, like whatever it is that you're able to speak truth and speak knowledge and do that, you know. So it's all about balance.
Is it difficult, or have you faced any challenges kind of trying to uphold that responsibility within the industry?
I mean, it's always hard when I answer that. I know it's a challenge for me, and I know it's 10 times harder for me. And you know, but I never put that in my mind. You know what I'm saying? It's just my path, and it's just my journey. And for whatever reason it's supposed to be like that, it is, and I just walk it. But, you know, it's definitely hard to go against a business that is about the commodification of a culture that they don't know anything about, that they not brought up in, that the people that run this business at the very top don't look like us. You know, they don't care about, you know, our problems. It's all about a dollar and a lot of times agenda. And, you know, that's the fight, having a fight against that. You know, how do you break that systematic racism in a sense? You know, so that's the fight. And I do it album by song by song, show by show, meeting by meeting, you know, and create spaces. And, you know, as you can see, we're beginning to evolve. Like the fact that Diddy owns Revolt and has a platform for us, where if a Nick Cannon has a problem with Viacom, he can go to Revolt. Like, that's important. Jay-Z owns Tidal, you know what I'm saying? Along with a bunch of other artists, Jay-Z, Alicia, J. Cole. Like, when I think about Tidal, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, you have this platform owned by artists, nothing but artists. Like, that's what we should be supporting.
Innovative.
That's powerful, you know. And just understanding, like, yo, educating ourselves, owning our own masters, so we have the power back. Like, if every artist own their own music, that the world, hip hop runs the world. Imagine the power that you have when you own that, where you can say, like, yo, such and such company, like, you want to use our culture, you want to use our music, I own it. So what you going to do to show me that you support my people and what's important to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have that power now. So, you know, just thinking on that level and just enjoying it, how we're educating ourselves and moving more towards that direction.
Yeah. It was interesting you bringing up the commodification of the culture. And then it's almost, as a Black woman, you know, you're dealing with kind of two, right? Is the commodification of Black culture, and then you think about, as a woman, the commodification of your body, or the attempt to commodify your body at the same time within the industry. And, you know, in your music, you prioritize Black women often. You had a whole album, Eve, where track by track is named after, you know, legendary women, legendary Black women. So, you know, this is a question I'd like to ask a lot of Black women. I think that, you know, growing up for me, and you can let me know what it was like growing up for you, I grew up in a household where, you know, we talked about Black history, Black culture, but it wasn't until maybe after college that I realized my understanding of Blackness was very much from a Black male perspective, right? So at what point did you start realizing, wait, I'm a Black woman, and these are issues specific to me that we don't always talk about in our community? At what moment were you awakened to like your Black womanhood?
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, because
to be honest, like I feel like that's all. I've always been somewhat aware of that for me. To be honest, because, you know, I think about, you know, just who I grew up on, like a village of my mom. I had super strong aunts. They were like mothers. You know how that is. And, you know, they instilled in me Black womanhood and what it was to be a Black woman, along with growing up listening to MC Lyte and Queen Latifah and Lauryn Hill. And, you know, growing up, I was such a huge fan of Cicely Tyson, you know, as well as Little Kim. So I think for me, it was something I was always aware of. But I think as I grew, like you said, like you get into college and you really get a deeper understanding of what you know, but how to articulate it and how to break it down and how to even witness when it's happened even more, like studying Toni Morrison in college and reading Nikki Giovanni. So I just think it was an evolution, you know, of a better understanding of really what it is. But yeah, I think for me, I would agree with you. It was right around college where it was just like that real moment. Like, cause that's when I really got deep. Like on the real, I'm gonna be this funny to me, but that's when I started trying to dress like Common with the knit hats. I was like, I'm so Black right now. I'm so Black. I'm into this world right now. I'm reading deep Black studies. You know what I'm saying? Bell hooks and all that. Are you
all about love.
I was like, I need a t-shirt with Chief Rivera and everybody on it. I am blickety black, and I'm for the cause. You know, but yeah, so that around the same time it was for you was probably for me in college.
Yeah, because I felt like, you know, growing up, I would hear about, you know, I have strong Black women in my family, and I would hear about incredible Black women in history. But when it came to like issues that Black women face, like the way we talk about issues that Black men face, I felt like I didn't realize, wait, there are issues that specifically Black women face that we don't always talk about the same, right? So like I wrote this whole piece, and it was for Washington Post, like Woman's Vertical, and I wrote about, like, you know, the rate at which we're sexually assaulted and the rate at which some were murdered, and these are the conversations that should be included into Black Lives Matter and should be included in conversations about Black issues and Black struggle, and sometimes they're not, and I felt like I wasn't awakened to that really till after college.
Yeah, me too. And the moment I remember that conversation like really hitting was it was probably around the time I started rapping, and I was working on Returning to Be Girl. So like around that like 2008, 9, 10 range was, you know, where you really got to see it and you really start to hear statistics, you know what I mean? Like you know, and it's like I remember I can't remember who was on. We was on a Breakfast Club, and they were having conversations, just reeling off these statistics. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't know that number. You know, the fact even to this day, I'm still learning. Like in the last year or two, the rate at which Black women die that give birth. You know, and it's like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah, just that whole range from around the end of college till now, it's just like more and more I'm becoming aware of how many issues that Black women have that we don't bring to light. You know what I'm saying? We don't. So,
and even you know how many of us are missing, and I just want to put that number out there because I was shocked.
we don't talk about that enough,
We
and
don't
that's been
talk
going
about
on
it.
for years. That ain't like a
Mm-hmm.
this year thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that's been going on for years, and I'm aware of it. It's just like, how is this not more major news, and why are we not, you know what I'm saying? Like, why isn't this a huge conversation that we talking about?
Exactly.
Like, that blows my mind every day.
Every day, they said there's 65 to 75,000 Black women and girls missing, and that's what they know of that get reported to them. And you know, I feel like it needs to become more a part of our conversation when it comes to, because I think sometimes people think that's solely a gender issue, which it is, but I don't think people realize that it's the intersection of being a woman and being Black, right? The rates are higher because we are Black and because we are women.
And they don't care about us. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if that was white women. Let's be real. Like, it would be a
national
National
crisis.
Guard, federal private. Yes, it'd be a problem. A problem. You know.
And it's unfortunately, it's like a societal understanding that people won't look for Black women or Black girls, so predators use that to their advantage a lot of times.
Right.
And that's why I feel like we should be talking about that more, and we don't, as a part of the Black struggle, because it is, right? And I feel like it's often separated.
Mm-hmm. It is. You know, one thing I was proud to see. I can't remember what exactly or where it was, but you might have saw it too. It was a clip, and of course it never makes news, and it never really goes viral. But it was a case of two Black girls that were missing in whatever city it was, and the police were doing nothing about it. You know, they were like, "Oh, it's doing that." So the community goes out into the neighborhood and knocks on every door looking for these girls, and they find this house. You know,
I saw it. Yes.
You saw that? The whole community, and you understand, like, we have to go back to policing us and taking care of us, like, because they're not gonna do it. Or we have to keep, like you say, speaking it and saying we're not gonna shut up about it, but at the same time we're not gonna sit and do nothing. Like, that was powerful for me to see the community take action like that.
Yeah. So, Professor Welbeck said that was in Milwaukee.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. We have to protect our women and our girls, and I feel like we're seeing a lot more memes that say protect Black women, and I want to hope it's more than a meme. I want to hope it's more than just something to say on social media. And a lot of people are talking about what happened to Megan Thee Stallion, and I want to ask you, what does support look like for you within the industry as a Black woman, right? Within the industry and outside of it? What does support from, allies and people who say they love Black women, what does that look like?
Man, it has to become an actionable thing, whether it's you see something happening to someone and you go and you stand up for them and you protect them, whether you see something online and you don't engage in it, because it's so hurtful. Like, it's just something as simple as not engaging in a joke of somebody being shot in the foot and, not feeling protected. That's the spectrum. There's so much within that you can do. For me personally, making sure that, I continue to use my voice to speak on these issues, to say, we have to protect our women, making sure she's okay, reaching out to her, like, all of those things, being a village and being a community, all of those things are things that we can do within the spectrum, so that's what it looks like for me personally.
And those are things that we consistently do for Black people as a whole. We would just like it done for us as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been more than 100 days. I think it's close to 150, if not 150 days since.
Over 100. Yes.
Yeah. Since Breonna Taylor was killed in her home by police. When you heard about her death, what thoughts ran through your mind?
Man, it's that. it's just sickening, and it's hard, and it's just like, how many more, you know, whether it was just to know to her, the person she was, like, yo, she's an EMT worker that gets up every day to save lives.
Yeah.
Asleep in her home, sleeping, you know, it's like, is there any place that we are safe?
That's safe.
There's
You would
no
think
place
in your home. Yeah.
in your own home, but you know, it just goes back to whether she was an EMT worker or whether she, you know, was on the other end. It doesn't matter. Her life mattered. And you know, you just can't go in and kill people. And it's just like, sometimes it feels hopeless, because you're like, when is this gonna stop? You know, when is it gonna stop? Or why can't we at least get justice? This isn't hard. This is not
It
easy.
seems pretty clear, right?
Very clear. Like, you know, it gets heavy. You know, I look at her, honestly, I was looking at her pictures, and then I saw some of the tweets that she had. You know, I think I remember some of them was like, I wish somebody would fight for me, or something like that. Or, you know, I can't wait till my birthday.
My future.
Like,
yeah,
you know, she becomes you. She becomes your sister. She becomes your homegirl. Like, her story, she reminded me of any of my homegirl, my family that I know. Like, she was our sister, you know, and that's what it was. And it's just like, in a night, you coming home, you laying down with your partner, you know, and then it's over.
It could have been us. Like, that's the thing. It could have been us. And it's interesting you saying she's like our sister. My sister's an essential worker, right? And so I instantly like was thinking about, this could have been my sister as well.
Right. And it, you know, and then you go into the even sadder part is, these are the stories that make it to us, that we hear about,
that we know
that this happens every day, and not once a day, multiple times a day. Not in America, you know, like all across the world. It's just sick and very heavy, but it, you know, it keeps the fire lit that I have to be a part of the change, you know, however it is. I have to do something, because I have nieces and nephews. One day we might have daughters, sons, you know. So you go into that mode, you know what I'm saying? And it's just tough. Like, you know, I did a Zoom call with me and a bunch of other entertainers and artists and influencers with her mom. And yo, it's just so heavy, you know, to talk to her family, her best friend. I went to the rally to see Kenny, you know. That's heavy, you know. These are not just hashtags. These are not just photos and dope art creation. These are people.
Human beings.
People. So, you know, yeah.
You mentioned it just now with the fire that it, you know, that it fuels, but how has, you know, her death, has it activated you in a different way that maybe you weren't activated before?
They all hit me. I think one thing about her that continues to activate me, I think, you know, just being even closer to it. Because, you know, before, I'll speak about it through music. I post what I can. But this was like the first time that I went to a rally, you know, via Until Freedom. And, you know, my sister, our amazing Tamika Mallory. And, you know, it just energized me, and like, oh, now I can see outside of the music, there's so much more I can do that I want to do. You know, and not saying every artist has to do that. Everybody has their place. But for me, it energized me in another way. It's like, yo, even if I come up to this rally and I speak, or, you know, myself and Alicia Keys and Tamika Mallory and Rock Nation, you know, we did some things behind the scenes that try to amplify her voice. Like, it hit me in that way. It's like, there's so much more outside of the music that I know I can do. And that's where I'm at now. Like, whatever that is, you know, it might be a rally today. It might be amplifying her voice tomorrow. It might be a song the next day.
This conversation.
Yeah, conversation. It's just like, you know, just understanding, like, yo, I see the power in that, you know. So that's kind of how this one hit me. But yeah, you know, like I say, like, you meet their family and you see how real it is. You know, you go to Kentucky and you see this is where it happened.
Yeah.
You know, this is where she lived. This is where she existed. So it just humanized it. Her story is so much more. It's human to me before, but I'm just saying, like,
she makes it real, more real.
It's way
tangible.
More real. Yeah, it's so much more intangible, and you know, yeah, that's what this was different for me in that way.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about your track Afeni. I really love that track. And, you know, I want you to tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind the song.
Yeah. Tupac's Keep Your Head Up is one of my favorite songs ever. I was a big Tupac fan growing up. And I just remember hearing that song. And like I said, when I told you, like, I grew up having this idea of, you know, Black women and our struggles. That song was part of my understanding that, you know, where I listen to hip hop and it's like, you know, we were raised by women. Why do we rape our women? Why do we hit our women? Like, yo, at a young age, this is what I'm hearing from Tupac, you know, and I'm understanding like what it is to be a Black woman, you know, what it is, you know, to keep it real and to speak like, yo, this is the issue and we're going to talk about it, you know, and I'm that song meant so much to me and just who I was and how I love myself and how I love my sisters and what I wanted to do with the art and how I wanted messages in the music and speak to people. And again, speak for the voiceless, speak for the women, you know, that look like me. So when I was working on a project, you know, I said, I have to I've been wanting to use that in some way, like a snippet from that song for years. And I've tried and it never worked out. And it's because everything has a timing and when it's supposed to have a timing, and it was supposed to be this timing. And, you know, Eric G put it together and I was like, I have to name it Afeni, you know, because
Afeni, apologies.
Yes, there is no Tupac without Afeni, and not just through life, but because of the woman that she was. She was a Black Panther. She was a Black mother. She was intelligent. She was strong. She raised him to be the man that he was. And, you know, that's what we have to remember. And that's what I wanted people to get. Like, as much as we love Tupac, the foundation of who Tupac was Afeni Shakur. And again, that goes back to the role that record was so important. Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm back. I don't know what happened. I'm good.
But that's why that record was so important, and it had to be the last song. And I'm gonna tell you, I had some trouble getting that cleared. Like, we worked on getting that cleared. I know for 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
6 or 7. We got down to the like -5th hour. You know, I had already changed the beat to that.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, but I'm happy that it worked out and that, you know, people are inspired by it and understand its meaning.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna throw out some lines that stayed with me, and I want you to just like tell me what inspired it, like quickly, like what inspired those lines. You said, "Do you overlook our beauty, but you loving on all the others?" Tell me about that one.
You know, that's just the idea of Black women not being enough, you know. Whether it be this misconception, or we have an attitude, or we're angry. Dark skin is not beautiful. You know, our hair is not beautiful. Women that are exotic, you know, or Caucasian are trophies. You know, like that idea that we're not good enough, that you came from a Black woman. Don't forget that. So, you know, that's what it was. I've dealt with that, you know.
Yeah.
Not being seen as beautiful enough because of what I look like, you know. But all these other women try to take these beautiful parts of us, and now it's beautiful because it's on them. Right. And that's what we like. Love who you love, but what we not gonna do is downplay Black women, right? So, you know, and not see the beauty in who we are, and we not gonna allow people to paint that picture of us. That ain't about to happen. So, you know, that's what it is. Because, you know, like I say, I tell this story all the time. Like, I have a niece. She's 10 now, but at the time she was 4. And like I've told her, if you follow my interviews, you've heard it before. But I was taking her to get Barbie one time. She was like 4. I think she was like 3 or 4, something like that. And she didn't want the black Barbie. He said it wasn't pretty. And it's like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna break that cycle. You know, we're gonna break that today. So yeah.
It starts so young, and I'd be so confused because I'm like, have you seen us though? Like, what are you? I'm confused. Like, do you see this right now?
Right. And that goes into, you know, representation. When we don't see ourselves in these spaces, we begin to program. We come into this world fresh and innocent, and the world taints us, you know, based on what we allow ourselves to be programmed into. You know, if you don't have anybody to show you outside of what is on TV all the time or what was on TV, we're getting better with that. But you don't see yourself in these spaces, and you don't see yourself on the cover of magazines. You don't see yourself in movies and in that light. You know, you start to tell yourself that I must not be beautiful enough, and that's not true. So we got to make sure that we control the narrative. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I tell people all the time, like, I have so much love and respect for Kendrick Lamar. I remember when he did the Poetic Justice video, and I was reading an article about that video, and he purposely casted a dark-skinned woman for the lead because he said, for this very reason, you know, I have to be the difference, you know. It's not a reflection, but we do understand that the issues that darker skinned women face. So he said, I'm going to be the change. I'm going to cast a leading dark skinned woman to play my love interest in this video, to show that every shade of black is beautiful. I want a dark skinned girl to look at my video and see somebody that I'm rapping to in a love scene that I'm having interest in, and see herself, and you are beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's even things like that. That don't take much to do. That makes the difference. So.
It's true. It's true. The next one, this line hit me in my chest. You said, rib of our rib, do you still feel this in you? Tell me about that one. That one, I was like, oh, don't cry. Because I think we hold a lot of those feelings in, and then we have moments where you listen to a song, you watch a movie, you hear a stat, and it pulls up this pain that we bury really deep because we carry a lot of it. And someone in there said, where's this narrative coming from that black women are unprotected? Well, one, it's the truth because of our country and its racist origins, but also even thinking about the strong woman narrative. Yes, we're strong, but because we've had to be, and we also should be treated with love and gentleness and grace. So yeah, tell me, rib of our rib, do you still feel this in you? What does that mean? Where did that come from?
Man, that's one of my favorite lines too.
Love it.
You know, it was just the idea that, you know, when you read it in the Bible of how God made Adam, right? And he's a part of his rib to produce his better half, Eve. You know, it's like you can't forget that part of who we are. You know, we were made of each other for each other. So, you know, how can you not love me and protect me and see the beauty in me when I came of you? You know what I'm saying? I'm a part of you. So do you still feel that part of me?
That connection.
That connection, yeah. When I perform that at shows, I like to bring a guy on, and when that comes to that part, I grab his rib because I want to physically feel what I'm saying through the lyrics. Like, now I don't want you to just hear me. I want you to feel what I'm saying when I say that, because that bar is so loud, and you have to bring people down to that again. Because I say, like, this world is so crazy and it's moving, and there's so much that we have to unlearn.
Yeah.
And relearn again. That's one thing I've been learning big during this time of quarantine. And so, you know, that's what it's about. Like, you know, black man, I'm not gonna leave you. We never will. We love you, but we gonna bring you back. You know what I'm saying? And
did you forget us? Acting like you out here don't know us, but we're fighting for you. But yeah, go ahead.
and I'm gonna be real. Like, even in that, I'm very careful about, for me anyway, about grouping all black men into that.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I've had great conversations about this. I'm not going to say arguments, I'm going to conversations, because in conversation you get to learn from each other, right? You know, because some people feel differently. And, you know, I had a great conversation with a friend who's on the West Coast about this. And I was like, do you really feel like Black men don't love Black women? And she was like, well, yeah, you know, based on my experience and how I grew up. And I was like, you know, I understand that. I was like, but for me, I can't group that in because I have a whole different experience.
Yeah.
And I say that to say, like, you never can downplay anybody else's experience, because there are Black women that have traumatic experiences with some Black men. But there are also the other side of, you know, Black women. I grew up in a beautiful village of Black men, and they don't play about the women, you know what I'm saying, like, to this day. So I'm just very careful in making sure that I don't forget about the brothers that do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the ones that don't outshine them. But we still have to talk about, you know, that other part, because it's honest and it's real. And you don't want to dismiss somebody's truth or pain in that. So,
and
you know,
yeah, that's the balance that we sometimes have to strike, because it's very hard. It's like, I want to talk about, you know, the pain that Black women may feel or Black girls may feel outside of their community, but also within their community. But how do I do that without making it seem like an attack? You know, especially for men that I love and men who are also oppressed in their own way, but also saying, hey, here are ways you can look out for me and protect me without it coming off as an attack for individuals a group of individuals who are attacked often. So yeah, I've watched you in interviews and I'm like, damn, she really doing the juggle. It's difficult. And or like the balancing act. I mean, and like, I'll write something, I'm trying to do the balancing act because I'm like, I want to advocate for Black women and girls, but I don't want this to be the narrative. And there have been times where I'm like, well, this issue is so important, I have to speak on it for Black women and girls. And if people don't understand my heart, they don't understand my heart.
Indeed. And it's like you say, like, you should have that space too, where this is important, I need to advocate for this. And if it's not before you wouldn't even feel offended, you know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty too. Like, the ones who know who it's about, they know, you know, and the ones who support it, they gonna support it. So yeah, it's a beautiful balance in that. And you know, it's dope that you know when to turn it on and turn it off, because you need both for that, honestly.
And I think it's the understanding that it's the same thing. I think sometimes when you talk first, you advocate for Black women and girls, it's like, oh, you're being divisive. No, it's the same issue. When people say Black trans lives matter, Black women's lives matter, Black queer lives matter, they're saying all Black people matter, and we're making sure that it matters. Saying that it's being divisive is insinuating that they're always a part of the conversation or at the forefront, when they're not always. So so what does freedom for Black girls and Black women look like for you?
Black independence.
Yes.
I answered this question a few times, so I don't want to.
Really? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have. But I always answer it. I say, I look at it in two parts. The first part, Black independence and Black freedom, first has to start in our mind, within us. And you think about Gil Scott-Heron, the revolution will be televised. And I'm be real, I didn't understand the true meaning of that. So probably this year, to be real, like, because you think like, it's not gonna be televised, which is not gonna be on TV, but it's still gonna be happening in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And you see people like, oh, it's on Instagram or worldwide, they protesting. It ain't televised, but it's on Instagram. And it's no. I saw the clip. He was like, it happens in your mind first. You have to free your mind. That's where you have to seek knowledge. You have to learn. You have to learn to love yourself. Like, it starts here in our mind. That's where the revolution. Because if you don't know how to critically think through things and understand what's happening, then you really can't be free. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, without that, you don't know how to move. You don't even know how to get free until you understand it. Be able to critically think and break down what's really happening to you. You know what I'm saying? And the second part is, you know, for me, like, Black ownership, you know, dollars, you know, creating these spaces, you know, where we again, we're in control of the narrative. We're able to create spaces for our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, oh, Joe Mack opened a smoothie spot in the community, like, you know, health, we creating jobs for the community, like it all starts from there. So those are the two biggest places for me, like, but the biggest is it's got to start here first. Once you conquer this and you free this, everything else, you know, it just falls into place, but it starts here first.
The revolution of the mind is not an easy one, because sometimes there's a lot of things we have to let go of, mentalities we have to let go of, that we might be afraid to let go of, or are difficult to let go of. Like our ideas of what success is, and what, you know, wealth is, and what, you know, beauty is, and we have to let go of all of these things. And then because they're so ingrained in us, we're like, okay, what is life without these things? And yeah. So it becomes difficult. It's not easy, but it's worth it and necessary. As someone who's working on it there, too.
Right. Once you get there, you like, oh my God, you see life in such a different lens. Such a different lens. And now you're able to move in a way it's just freeing, you know. Like, it's like nobody can really penetrate that. Once you free and you know how to move, no matter what nobody say, like, in your mind, you're like, bro, I done call that bluff. Like, I'm 59 steps ahead of you. Back.
I already know what this is and everything. Yeah. So tell me about these projects you're working on. Can you give us like a timeline of when it's coming out or anything? Oh, you know, just a little exclusive.
Yo,
I mean, still so giving you grace, but yeah.
I want to so bad, but I can't even do it.
Okay. I'm gonna let you chill. I'll let you chill. We have some questions, so I'm gonna pull some of these up. What if I told you this was my first time on IG Live?
Yo, you did such an amazing job. I remember my first time. I was struggling. It was that good.
Thank you. Okay, what's your top female rappers of all time?
Man, y'all ask that question all the time.
I know.
But I'm gonna tell you. My top rappers that happen to be women of all time are Lauryn Hill, Queen Latifah, MC Light, Joe, man, so many dope. Let me think. Man, it's tough out here. Missy Elliott.
Okay. Any newbies inspiring you?
And Eve. Okay. A lot of newbies. Y'all know I love Cardi. I love Megan Thee Stallion, Tierra Whack. That's my homegirl. She is phenomenal. Her flow, her
shout out Philly.
It's crazy, and her creativity, bar none. She remind me like an Erykah Badu, Missy Elliott mix. Like, it's ill with a little Andre 3000 in there too.
Yes, everything.
And she sing too. Chica is ill. There's a new artist out of I can't remember what city it is, but Chinoe. She's super dope. Yeah, she's street. She talk that talk, like she's mad dope. Il Camille on the West Coast, 3D Natty in New Orleans, crazy fire. I love Tokyo Jets in Atlanta. She dope. I was listening to the new artist Flo Milli the other day. I like her.
Yes,
I like her energy. Like, she's dope. I want to do something with her too.
Beats, incredible.
Oh, you like Kaylee 47.
Yes, I was waiting for that.
Yo, let me tell you, she one of my favorite like musicians and artists. Homegirl, she produces, like, creates her own video, raps, sings, and she's a dope human being. Like,
all of that. Perfect.
Yo,
full package.
I love the Kaylee. I could do this all day. Let me pull up another one. I like Saweetie. Saweetie's dope. She funny too. I like when she be on her TikTok funny stuff. She funny. Yeah, I mean, you know, I try to keep an ear to the street as much as possible for not only new artists, but especially women in the business. So, you know, I remember how it was when I was coming up. So I'm like, yo, when I get the opportunity and the platform, like, I'm saying folks' names.
Yeah, so, as you should, and lift them up.
Yeah.
So this is from our homie Chill Moody. When when was the last time you wrote a bar and you had to step away like, damn, I'm really nice. Nice things. Nice things.
So most recently, probably like 3 days ago. But it's a evolution of me and my music. So before this year, and like really taking self-care and growing as an artist, like, all right, I've done this. Every year I try to, like, how can I evolve? This year I've been working on being vulnerable, right? And there has been, you know, for me, a lot of years, my biggest fan base has been men. In the last couple of years, I've gotten more women, but it mostly men. And it's always like, I'm like, yo, why am I not connected with my sisters? Like, what is the disconnect? And in growing and just having conversations, I'm learning that, what I love about the art form, and I'm a big Jay-Z fan too, so I love metaphors and having 3 meanings in one bar. Everybody can't break that down. You know what I'm saying? They can't break that down, or, you know, they just want it straight cut. So I've been working on just being vulnerable and being more straightforward, right, with my lyrics. So I wrote a song the other day, and I had to step away. I was like, yo, I said that. You know, and it wasn't no crazy metaphor or similes, but it's just touching on, like, just some straight facts, you know, in life, that's like, yo, I can't wait to put this out. I don't care how people feel about it, but it's my truth. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most recent one.
Yeah. Can you share it or no? Probably can't share it.
Not this one.
Not yet.
Let me
protect your IP, girl.
I mean, it's still fresh, so I don't always, like, I'm not one that remembers all my joints right after I do them. I gotta sit because I write so much. But there's a line in it that I like. This for General Grievous and all the villains. Heroes never die. Most time our people kill us.
Ooh.
You dig what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
A lot of times we our own worst enemy. Like, going back to not just coming up and not being aware and not learning the right things and understanding what slavery has done to us and what still shows up now, whether it be through complexion or, like you say, not loving Black women and see the beauty. Like, sometimes we kill ourselves, our own people, in that. So that's kind of the theme of the record.
Yeah, we can be very hard on ourselves, like, without taking everything into context and realize, wait, we just survived this massive genocide. You know what I mean? Take it easy with us. You know what I mean? We're doing extremely well, considering, in a lot of ways.
Extremely.
In a lot of ways. A bar that stays with me, I was just talking to my friend about it. You said, a shepherd don't trip over what they heard.
A good shepherd don't trip over what they heard.
Yes, I was like, yo, let me get that. My friend was like, let me get that tatted on me. Like, say less. Like, what? A question that I have for you that I want to bring up, because you mentioned being vulnerable. I watched an interview that you did, and it was with Charlemagne, and you were very vulnerable, and you talked about feeling like it's okay to say, I want this and I deserve this. And I think for Black women and girls, women in general and girls in general, but especially Black women and girls, to say, I deserve this thing, I want this. Where are you on that journey with getting comfortable with saying that?
Man, a lot better than what I was. I'm still a work in progress, because you know, I'm in my 30s, so there's a lot still I have to unlearn. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of 5 kids.
Ooh.
One of a lot of grandchildren. You know, so I'm super humble. People know I'm mad humble. Like,
you used to sharing.
Mind. Yeah, like, I just remember, I'm like, yo, how did I get this place where I'm not even comfortable saying, like, yo, I deserve that, or, you know, bigging myself up and not feeling away. And I'm thinking, like, I remember in high school, like, you know, people thought I was pretty or whatever, but I remember, like, I would dress up some days and be cute. I might put on heels or whatever, and a girl might be like, "Oh, you think you cute today, right?" And I'm just like,
I'm just trying to live my life.
But, like, I just, you know, and for me, it was just like, I took it as, okay, let me not do that so I don't make you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, you know. And you realize, like, it's not about you, it's about people loving themselves at the end of the day, you know, and playing basketball and, you know, being good at basketball. I remember my coach, I said this in an interview, my coach brought me in and she was like, you know, as hard as I worked since I was 7 years old, and to get to my senior year and have the amazing year that I had, and her to come in and be like, you know, we're not going to give out MVP because, you know, all the parents say, oh, we know who's good. Like, we going to give out 2 most improved, or pull them in. It's like, you know, a lot of parents coming and saying you getting too much playing time, you know, and that affects your confidence, you know, and I allowed it to affect my confidence anyway. You know, and you think about all these instances, and, you know, being in this business and having social media era, and, you know, having such close contact to what people saying. Like I said, I can get on Twitter and go and search my name and see everything that people say.
Yeah.
Reading some of those things and how that affects you, like, that's, you know, that's all of that together stems from that. So you have to again unlearn all of that and understand, yo, that don't have nothing to do with me. That's other people projecting whatever insecurities, whatever their own trauma is on me. And I don't have to allow that into my space. So I say that to say I'm a lot better, you know.
About to flex on them.
Yeah, I'm about to flex now.
You better flex. Yes.
Flex City coming out. No, that was corny. Okay.
And that's so important, because I relate to that so much, because I'm someone that people always say, you're so humble, you're so humble. But it's like, at what point am I possibly, humility is a good thing. But it's like, at what point am I doing myself a disservice because I'm not able to say, yo, I'm a boss. I'm good at this, right? Like, it starts to stop being something that you consciously do, and it instead becomes something that you become, which is, I guess, humbled. I don't, like, listen, you know, I'm a writer out here. Like, I be trying,
yo. That's, Michelle need that, the becoming. That's a becoming.
Yo, yes.
I'm with you. Now that's
and I think, especially because, you know, I'm always bringing it back to us, but especially for Black women and girls, like, the world will find different ways to silence us through humbling. So I'm trying to work on, when I heard you say that, I'm like, yo, I feel this. Like, I understand this. So trying to come out of that and say, it's okay to say, no, I'm the illest lyricist in the game. Like, and what? Come check me. Who gonna check me? Get this dance. Like, what? Like,
yes.
Yeah. So, you know, you talking about, you know, seeing everything on social media. You also mentioned before not being as, you know, battling with not being as decorated as some artists and certain things, and that getting to you at some point. How do you validate yourself, especially in a world that's not always going to validate you?
For me, I learned to do it through the people. You know what I mean? So what? I have no Grammys, no BET Awards, no Soul Trade Awards. I don't have nothing.
Like, you're not Grammy-nominated, but okay.
I am nominated. Yes, I am.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I got the people. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you do it for. You do it to touch and inspire people, and to contribute to the culture. So I got in this because I wanted to do my part for the culture, for people. And I can say I've done that. And, you know, if I can inspire the next, you know, Rapsody. There's a little girl named Zaya. So dope. Tamika posted her today. You know, if I could do my part to be for them, what Lauren and Latifah and Light and Missy and Kim and Foxy, all of them were for me, then I did my part. And it's little girls like her and having conversations like this with you, that's my trophy. You know what I mean? That's my trophy. And knowing that regardless of what, you know, my name and my music lives forever. So you know.
Your legacy. That's your legacy. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Rapsody, for doing this, for making time. I love this. I appreciate this. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, you want to drop.
Yo, I'm gonna give you your flowers. Like this, I enjoy talking to one of my favorite people that I've had a conversation with. I'm not gonna call this an interview; it's a conversation. I like interviews that are like conversations, and you are amazing at what you do. So
thank you.
Hey, you a bad mama jamma.
Yo!
give you your flowers, and I hope this isn't our last conversation. And thank you, Amber, for reaching out. Moonchild, y'all family. You're not even doing this, but
thank you so much. Like, for those of you guys watching, this is our first time talking, so we like jumped right into the deep end, and we clicked. We here.
Oh, we homies now.
We homies now.
Rapsody is Sofiya Ballin.
Let's go! I love this. I love you. I appreciate you and everything that you do and how you speak life into us with every single bar. I appreciate it so much. Shout out to Moonchild. Shout out to Amber for putting this together. And make sure you follow and support Rapsody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
Thank you. Follow Sofiya and show her love on her shoulder game. We shout out the shoulders today.
I got some shea butter on the shoulders.
I got the quarantine buns.
Yes, with the glow and the gloss. We love it. You got a Gen Z on them.